What do your diet and a chair have in common? There's one very small part of it that, if it's missing, defeats the purpose of the whole thing. I hope you find this video helpful. Your diet doesn't have to end up like this chair. Your diet can be successful and do its job. Now, there's something that I'm guilty of, you're probably guilty of, and probably anyone you share this video with is also guilty of when it comes to dieting. And it's a very simple thing. It's staying on track for the most part, measuring out what you're eating, doing what you're going to do and staying with the plan, and then having the little almost subconscious nibbles here and there. And there's so many different things that we're going to talk about that can contribute to this. When you start to see how each one of these little things can add up, the total amount of calories that they account for in the day is really going to surprise you. And that's even just like this little tiny little Hershey fun size thing, right? It's basically air. I don't have to track it. Wrong. So we're talking about the hidden servings. And these are things that can mess up your diet tremendously because it doesn't take that big of a calorie deficit for you to see steady weight loss, but it also doesn't take that much of, you could call it mindless eating, to completely erase that, even if you are tracking the other stuff that you're eating. So I'm going to give you an example of this. Let's talk about something like 4 baked potato chips, right? You've measured out your serving, which might be 15 or 16 chips, and then you just grab a few more and eat them real quick, right? It doesn't count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got a serving of 13, 12, 13-ish. That one doesn't count. That one doesn't count either. All right. Yep, 13 chips. So anyway, what are in 4 chips? So in 4 chips, you got about 1 gram of protein, 8 grams of carb, 1 gram of fat, which comes out to 45 calories. By itself, not too much. If that's the only thing that you kind of snuck in there and didn't track throughout the day, it's not going to cause you too much of an issue. But odds are, if you're doing this one thing, you're probably going to be doing it with other things. Let's think about something else. Let's say that you just had a thing of ice cream, right? On every thing of ice cream, you have a lid. And on that lid, there's some sort of magical property about the ice cream that's stuck to the top of the lid. And if you're anything like me, you're probably going to scrape that ice cream off and eat it because it's the best stuff in the whole entire container. Bluebell strawberry. This is my favorite. Oh, yes. Yes. Look at that. Oh my God. This is about to be the best ice cream ever. The stuff at the top. Oh, wow. I'm so glad this doesn't count towards my macros. You're also going to measure out, or maybe even eyeball it, roughly a cup and a half, 2 cups of ice cream, whatever you're going to eat, right? But what you want to look at for that top that you just scraped off and didn't account for is probably going to come out to about maybe 2 tablespoons, somewhere in that neighborhood. But what does 2 tablespoons of ice cream from the lid add up to? About 1 gram of protein, 5 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fat, 42 calories. All right, so now we've had the ice cream, we've had the extra potato chips. What about something a little bit different, right? So let's say that you're making something that has some shredded cheddar cheese in it, maybe shredded Mexican cheese, just some sort of shredded cheese out of the bag. You'll typically measure it out with a scoop, or sometimes you even put it on a scale. But if you're like the rest of us, odds are you might just take a little pinch extra. All right, gonna measure out this cheese. Just get about a 1/4 cup in there and 1/4 cup. And just to make sure that it tastes like I think cheese. Cheese. That pinch is probably going to be roughly about a tablespoon worth of shredded cheese. So what's in a tablespoon of shredded cheese? Let's take a look. You're looking at about 3 grams of protein, 0 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fat, which comes out to 57 calories. And so the final thing that we're going to look at, and what's funny is this is actually very reflective of one of my days of tracking and something that I might do. We're going to look at some breakfast cereal. In this case, it's blueberry Chex Mix. So in that Chex Mix, this is about a 1/4 cup's worth of the value. You're going to have no protein, 8 carbs, 1 gram of fat, 41 calories. A 1/4 cup of Chex Mix doesn't really look like a whole lot. So after you poured out your cereal bowl, you might pour a little bit in your hand, snack it down, delicious. Doesn't really count because it's only just a little bit of Chex, right? Well, now you're starting to see a pattern here about how all these little things start to add up to something bigger. I mean, it's just like you're not paying attention to what you're putting on your credit card. A little charge here, a little charge there. Over the course of many months, you're like, where did I get all this credit card debt from? So it's the same exact thing with your diet. You got to pay attention to little things. If you notice that something's starting to add up in a direction that doesn't make sense with what your goals are, it's indicative that something else is going on. And so finally, the other thing we're going to look at, because hey, we're in an office, is something that pretty much everybody deals with in an office setting, and that's your little mini candy things. So in this case, let's say that you're going to have like 3 Hershey Minis throughout the day. I mean, Hershey Mini, like I said, it's pretty much air, right? Not so fast. Oh, a little piece of chocolate. All right. Get a little, another piece of chocolate. It's barely even a thing. Oh, hey, what do you know? A little piece of chocolate. So 3 of those little guys, 2 grams of protein, 15 carbs, and 8 grams of fat, which comes out to 140 calories. So what happens when you add all of these up? Well, it's a bigger number than you might think. You're looking at about 325 additional calories to what you might have been tracking throughout the day. You might be weighing things out using volume measurements. You might be even putting on a food scale or eating things that are neatly packaged in single serving containers. But just adding in a few things that are very normal that you might do throughout a day, you're looking at a pretty big increase in your total intake. Now, let's say that you're somebody who has a projected maintenance around like 1,700, 1,800 calories. That's kind of what you maintain your body weight on. If you're wanting to lose fat, eating around 1,400 would be appropriate. So you can see how you're tracking 1,400 calories. You feel like you're not eating a lot, but you might be doing these little snacks here and there that bring you all the way back up to maintenance. And then you're asking yourself, why can't I lose weight? Well, it might be because you're adding in all these little sneaky calories throughout the day that you're not accounting for. And what's kind of funny is, even in my own experience, especially like on a reverse diet, if you're consistent with the way that you do this, the adjustments over time will happen to where they're accounting for the extra intake. So even though my baseline calories say 3,400, I'm compliant at 3,400, I'm actually eating closer to 3,700 and maintaining my weight. So then in the event that I really do tighten things up and I eat exactly what my targets are and weigh everything out, I'll often find that I drop weight. That's because we have a tendency to underestimate what we're really eating, and usually we're snacking on little extra things here and there throughout the day that we're not tracking at all. So really, if you're somebody who's trying to lose weight and you're struggling with that, you're going to want to take this in mind and really think about how that might apply to your own journey. And there's a beauty in consistency, right? If you're consistently inconsistent with the way that you're tracking, if you're using some kind of system that's adapting and adjusting to what you're doing, it'll make up for that. And if you're not on anything, you really want to pay extra careful attention to these small things, because you won't have that thing to catch and counteract the inaccuracies. And that's just the truth of the situation. So this is a little bit interesting information and not something that you might think about every day, but it is something that if you think about how it applies to your own life, it could be very beneficial. So if you've enjoyed this video, you like the content, you like the channel, be sure to subscribe to it. Give us a comment, tell us how much you liked it, and hit a thumbs up. We like those too. So anyway, we will see you next time. Bye.